Me, Nesser! Hey, it's me, Nesser. Welcome to Nesser Pod. This is where I dive a little deeper into some of my guests' lives. Sometimes we dive a little too deep, other times we stay on the surface vibing. Either way, come along on this journey. I hope you enjoy this episode. Remember you, like Raph, Zeke used to all make music, and there was always this person that you would always talk about that was from Dublin. I remember there was one weekend you just all went to Dublin, and I was like, I want to go to Dublin too. And he's like, Percy. I was like, the hell is this Percy? And then you would have what was your group thingy?
The family knows.
The family knows. If you know, you know. Because when that phrase came out, you guys rinsed it. You guys rinsed it. Was it IFDIYKYK?
Yeah, there was a lot of phrases that we used.
You had bare acronyms, like.
Even we had a language.
Yeah, I know. You were like, okay, I'll be dead honest.
Yeah, go on.
As a young person in the mix of that was like really attractive. Like, because it was kind of like, you wanted to be part of it. You're like, why are these guys so exclusive? It's because of this dumb, flipping Targaryen language, like. But then you would do it, and then you like would laugh and just leave everybody out. And I'm like, how are these guys like flames me in my own house, bro? Like, and then flipping, back to like just Percy guy, Percy, whatever. Yeah. And then when I went to America, came back to Ireland, I was like, oh, Jafaris, I really like this Jafaris artist. Then I would see him on all your stories, and then I was like, Percy. I was like, that's him. Yeah. Do you get me? Because it was like, I promise you, I was like, you guys are just making up this person. This person does not exist. Because I remember, do you remember that we recorded a song in...
Like you on the track?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
We're singing an Adele song in Ground Floor. It was me, you, and Raph, I think. And you were like, what's that, Zim guy or whatever?
Zen.
Yeah, it was like making music or whatever. And then I just was singing along to whatever. And then you gassed me. And then obviously I went on the song, and it was the most ass song ever. I think Zeke was there as well. Just dropping names.
Wow, you remember a lot. Like, a lot of things that you're mentioning. I'm like, I have like a little memory.
Yeah, I don't remember it fully. Like, I don't constantly think about it, but as I'm looking at you, I'm like,
it starts to,
which is why it goes back to the fact that it felt like that 1 year was like such a long time, because we did so many things in there, because it was like the start of summer, and really and truly it was only in and around maybe November to like April, so it wasn't even a full year, because I didn't know you for the first couple of months of moving to Cork. But look,
how would you say your time in Cork was?
I enjoyed it till like the last week of Cork there. Till everything just went tits up.
Well, I wasn't there for the last week, right?
You were there for the last week. I'll talk to you about because remember, so... because we're rolling now, there's a couple of things I can't say. But I'll chat to you. There were certain people, starting with S.
Yeah.
And just flames everything up. And then I remember... after one of the parties, and then I met you at that place that you used to, across the bridge up that hill, there's like a kebab shop that you used to always be at.
Speedo,
Somebody, not Speedos, is a different one. Because Speedos is on...
Oh yeah, not Speedos, I know the one you're talking about. Forgot the name.
And I think Alex invited me, or somebody else invited me, and then you just shunned me, and you were so rude to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I do apologize right now.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're apologizing, because I'm not gonna lie,
I'm not that person anymore. I feel
like you've changed, and that's why I was like, I have a bit of grace for you, just a little bit. But like, I would describe my year in Cork probably as like enlightening. Like that was my first time around like Black people. Like, remember, like I was just
you were.
Even Saeed's episode.
I saw that one.
Even Saeed's episode, like it was quite like everything was quite new to me. Obviously living away from home, and then like being around G and just being around like cool people, and then like that was my first kind of insight into like a creative scene, in the sense where like people in Cork were, that's why like people in Dublin are chatting, and it's kind of like, okay, cool, hold that, like, but I feel like there's certain times in Cork where there's a couple like really talented people, and I think even now there are still really talented people in there. I don't know what the story is anymore with regards to studios and stuff, but even talking to Saeed on this, and this is funny because the whole pod comes full circle. Talking about it, where he was saying like that was like the first time that he'd seen other people, and that's where he even started his comedy stuff. Like, and that was, for me, that was the first time that I knew that I didn't really like females, like friendships like that, because like just being close to ye not out of any fault of my own, people started like worrying me. Like I had ups that I didn't know that they existed. And then I remember someone telling me, and I went to ground floor and I tried to say hi to this girl, and she was just proper anti. Like it was just not.
Say her name.
I don't even remember her name. This is the thing, yeah. People want to beef me, but I don't know who they are. Cause I don't like, you know me. Like I'm a little softy. Like I don't really chat to people. But hello everybody.
We're in.
Hi guys. Welcome to Nesser Pod. Hey this is a friend, Hope. Fun fact, I did not know that Hope was going to be on the couch today.
Surprise.
So I invited somebody from Grupa to talk about what Grupa do. I knew certain people are part of Grupa. I didn't know exactly the extent that you were involved. And even during messages, like I kept asking like how many people are going to be here, obviously for whatever, because I thought if there was more than one, then I knew you'd be here. Yeah. So when whoever replied, was it you? Is it you that I've been speaking to?
You've been speaking to me
the whole time?
The whole time, yeah.
Crazy! I didn't even know that. Even talking to Jafaris, like I didn't know who I was speaking to. And then I was like, yeah, whoever turns up today.
I was trying to get like someone else to
do it
because this is not usually my scene, but you know, I'm here now.
I'm glad that you're here, and I'm not even gonna lie, right? I'm really like privileged, and I'm really like, it warms my heart that people would trust me to come, because there's a lot of people. Even the first time I spoke to Jafaris, that was the longest conversation he'd done at that stage. Like, and it wasn't even. It was like over an hour conversation, and he just talked about random stuff that he wouldn't normally on the couch. So I don't know. It's. I feel very.
No, thanks for having me. That's cool.
But were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is also like a milestone for me because I don't really do public speaking.
Yeah.
So like I'm putting myself in the deep end and like seeing where it takes me.
Yeah, and I mean we've been chatting for about 20 minutes anyway. Yeah. Because we've a lot to catch up on. Fun fact, I know Hope from Cork. There's been a lot of Cork people on the pod this season, so big up Seatown and that. Kesson will be buzzing. But how are you feeling overall? How's life?
Life's good. I think I'm in a good place. Throughout this year, I've been like focusing on like switching careers. So I've been like doing a lot of studies, boot camps, courses online, and I managed to get myself into a job in July.
Oh, no.
So I'm now working as a digital designer for this tech company. So I'm in a good place. I'm happy. So,
what were you doing before that? So in the
recruitment.
What?
Recruitment.
Okay. What did you do in college?
Computer programming, but I did nothing with that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you at all. And it's really interesting, like the fact that you're saying that one, switching careers, but also you saying that this is not you takes me so aback, because the you that I knew would take over this whole thing.
Probably.
Like what's happened in your life? Like how has life kind of changed you since? It's about what, 7 years now?
Yeah.
Probably since I met you, 2014, 2015.
I knew you were going to ask that question. To be honest, I had this conversation already with myself.
Yeah. I love that you're prepared.
I think it was when I left Cork to Canada, and then I separated myself from...
Oh my God, sorry, continue talking. Something just happened in my head. Continue talking.
When I left Cork to Canada, you know, just separating myself from like family, friends, and just having that time to figure myself out, isolated, and figuring out what Hope likes, what Hope doesn't like. And yeah, I think that period was really important period in my life. Yeah. It made me realize, you know, okay, this is who I am naturally, bar like all my friends, all the distractions and all that stuff. So yeah, this is me.
That's why I'm kind of giving you a bit of grace, because a lot of what happened was just peer pressure. Yeah. And even talking to I think I met with Zeke the year I came back to do my master's, and we were talking about like things that happened, and he was just like, yeah, none of us are as close as we were, in the sense that you don't live, eat, breathe to get together. And I think that separation for, I think boys or lads more than girls is actually needed, because like men try to pretend that they're not influenced by their friends at all, but yous are heavily influenced by just wanting the approval of other men, like, and whether yous want to admit it or not. I find that a lot of my male friends, like when they move away, they actually become who they are. So I'm extremely, extremely happy for you in that sense. Back to the reason why I slapped this couch. When I was in America, I came to Canada for either spring break or Christmas, and you had a gig that I was meant to come to. Do you remember that?
I do not. See,
Do
that's
you
what your
not
memory is
remember
crazy.
that?
Your memory is crazy. I know.
Literally, I forgot it. Like, I remember you were doing music in
Yeah, for
Canada.
like the first year, and then
Yeah.
I stopped.
It was like an
trying
open
to pursue
mic
it.
or something in like an underground
Yeah,
thingy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember you sent me the link to it. But when I'm in Canada, there's a couple people that I know in like the GTA area and then outside of that. So I was going from like Toronto and where was I? Somewhere in the GTA,
yeah.
not Montreal. Did you say Montreal?
I said Ontario, but that's like
Ontario. Yeah, I was going from GTA to farther out in Ontario. So I was going to Newmarket.
Okay.
From Maya's gonna kill me that I forgotten where she lives. Maya, I'm so sorry.
Winnipeg, Vaughan.
Keep going now.
Brampton.
No, I was going from Brampton to Mississauga.
Mississauga, that's the one.
To Newmarket. So I was moving farther away from the city. But where you were doing your gig was like in the middle of
Downtown,
Toronto.
yeah.
Exactly. So that's crazy. Like
that's right.
It's so crazy how like all of our lives kind of mash up together, and I completely forgot all of those things. But yeah, we'll start off with them. Do I want to keep going with you, or do I want to? Yeah, let me go with you.
Okay.
So after you went from Canada, you did a bit of music. At what point did you realize that this is not what you want to do anymore?
What point? I think I was surrounded with people that were in the creative scene in Toronto, mainly photographers. And I also had a good friend as well that was into photography as well. So I think at that time, seeing that music wasn't really working for me there. It wasn't that because I still make music on the side, but I don't do it to, be this artist or get the recognition or whatever. But being surrounded by those people, I think just influenced me naturally, just to look into photography and say, this is what I wanted to do. And that was just something that was natural to me because I was always the guy that had the camera out with my friends, and it's just something that I gravitated to easily, if that I would say. But I guess that was the time, just being surrounded by those people is when I realized, okay, this is more what I want to do rather than the music, yeah.
And I mean, would you say that how hard it is to blow in music? I hate using the word blow, but how hard it is to reach a successful level in music? Do you think that played a part in the reason why you changed your mind also? Because I feel like when I left Cork, you were doing performances, you and Rafa were doing performances together. What's his name was doing backup dancer. Like in that space, I feel like you had one dream, and then in the sense of coming out of that and seeing how hard it is to actually do something. Whereas in Cork, you're a big fish in a small pond. You go to Toronto of all places, right? Like, did that kind of discouragement make you kind of see reality a bit different?
I think it also, from what I was saying earlier about me leaving Cork to Canada and having that time to be by myself, I think as a musician, you have to be this person that's always like out there. And I started to realize that's not who I am naturally. So
away from those guys.
So I still make music because I'm capable of making good sounds, but I do it in the way that is comfortable to me. Yeah. So I wouldn't say it discouraged me like moving to Canada because I was still doing it at the time, but I just prefer to do it in this way rather than
you didn't want to be the guy like in front
of the guy. That's just not
that's so crazy to me. That's extremely mad to me because you were that guy. Like you were that guy in the sense that you were the forefront of everything that like of the face of TFK or whatever, like whatever your name is. Big up Omo as well. I haven't dropped his name. But yeah, okay. So coming back from Canada then you came back to Ireland before you moved to Manchester?
Yeah.
Okay. And what were your feelings and thoughts in and around that time?
I left Canada due to financial situations. So
Toronto is not.
It's expensive.
Cheap. Everybody's saying they want to go there. Good there. You come back.
Yeah, I do plan on going there eventually again, but when I'm more stable.
Yeah.
But coming back to Ireland was actually sad. Like I came back, I spent like 2 weeks in Cork, and I was applying for jobs, nothing, and I was like, okay, I'm tired. Went to the UK trying to move over there, and I was initially meant to move to London, but obviously that's expensive. So Manchester was the easier transition for me. So how I was feeling at that time was like, okay, I'm coming from a big city back to this village. I can't stay here.
Yeah.
So I needed to step out. So I did.
Do you feel I hate to slash in Ireland, but I feel like once you leave Ireland, there's two things that happen, right? You come back with all of these hopes and dreams, and you find that this country or the people you're around they're not up to speed with where your mind's at. Because like living in America, like land of the free, home of the brave, like they really, really like inject that thought that you can do anything, like you can be anything you want to be, like as long as you have money, as long as you have resources, as long as you work hard. You come back here and sometimes that's a bit shut down straight away. It's kind of like, why are you so expressive? Why do you believe so much? Like stick to the status quo. But then there are other people who come and they do make changes, right? Like, did you feel like you fell into any of those categories, or did you just feel like it wasn't a thing, that you weren't able to achieve what you wanted to achieve, but it was more a case where it just wasn't for you?
Yeah, I think it wasn't for me. I experienced a lot in Canada and a lot of good things in Canada. So coming back to Ireland, Cork, this small village, like where everything is just backwards, I just felt like, yeah, I can't be here. I can't be here. So there's a lot more opportunity for me to move to Manchester, and there has been a lot of change. I'm in a stable place. I got an apartment, my license, all this stuff has been happening for me. And I feel like I actually haven't worked a job at all in Ireland, ever.
Crazy.
That's crazy, like, but yeah. I think
it's crazy to think that you can almost succeed in certain places, but you come here and they don't have any use for that experience. And they don't want to have your insight on things. They don't want to know what other people are doing. It's kind of like, we don't do that here. Like, even when I came to do my master's here, like I had to tweak my studies in the way that I'd seen it in America, and I was like, this is what I want to do health-wise, this is it. Like, even football-wise, like for me, football and education were like this for so long, where it's kind of like, I enjoyed education and I had like a flair for my career and health and stuff like that, but I also wanted to do football. So it wasn't a case where a lot of athletes don't care for like academia at all. Like I kind of wanted to do both as long as I could. So when I came back, I kind of used that flair to push what I wanted to do in health-wise. That's why I went to go back and do my master's. And even while I was trying to do my master's, it was kind of like, yo, we don't do that here. Like, what are you doing? Like you can't do that here, right? And even with football, it was like a completely different mindset. And I feel like in some ways it's changing, and I think it's changing fastest in the creative community than it is everywhere else. I feel like creatives in Ireland have such an affinity to growth, right? We see the world differently. We want so much more for Ireland, which kind of brings me to Grupa. We're done with you.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Nice transition.
Brings me to Grupa. When was Grupa? When did that commence?
That started 2 years ago, 2020, if I'm correct. The talks about it was November, December 2019. So you want me to talk about how it like
whatever you want to
came? So the idea actually came from frustration, really, because living in Canada and Manchester, it was so easy for me to connect with like creative scenes or creative communities, even in general. And I realized coming back home every time, summer or Christmas or wherever I came, there was just nothing for me. Like, and I found this new interest, photography, directing, all this stuff. And I realized when I come to Ireland, there's really not a community for me to connect with. I knew people on individual basis, but it wasn't like this collective of people. So the idea, I was in Manchester, I joined this collective where they bring like photographers, videographers, models together, and they go around the city just shooting content. And that got to a point where we were getting sponsored events where we did stuff for like Man City, and we just got articles written up on the collective and everything. So it built like this sense of community over there, and I was part of something. So I just realized, why isn't that a thing in Ireland? And I came up with the idea of bringing photographers, models together to just do something similar. At the time, I was posting a lot about it on my Instagram, and Michael D'Angelo reached out to me asking, "Oh, what is it about?" So we just went back and forth talking about it, and he mentioned that there was something similar that they were trying to do in Dublin, but it failed due to XYZ. So yeah, we just went back and forth with ideas, and I pitched him what I wanted to do, and asked him if he would be on board, and yeah, we kind of did it. But we didn't think of the idea to have our faces attached to it. It was just more, okay, we want to create this community and let it be. It's not a Hope or Michael thing. It's just like for the community.
I don't want to stop your train of thought, but I was going to mention that anyway. And I was going to mention how much I love that, how much I love the fact that, and I've tried to connect with Grupa before. I've downloaded Discord. It just moves way too fast for me. I just had to delete that thing. Not because of ye, but because of what my preferences are and how I like to connect with people. It just didn't work for me. But I love that, right? I love that it's so much bigger than ye, and even the nomination for Black and Irish, right? Like even your post of that, like I just had to stan it. Like it was just something that I saw where people are being selfless, right? In the sense of pushing everybody. It's not self-centered, and I've seen a lot of people gravitate to it. So kudos to you for making that decision. I think that it helps because nobody, and obviously this deconstructs that whole thing by having your face here.
Yeah, I know. I was saying that earlier. I was like, I don't want to be.
But you can quit after this. It's cool.
You can blur my face out. That probably works.
That's something you'd love, isn't it? Just change the whole screen blue. But yeah, sorry. Back to the reasoning and how kind of that frustration became Grupa.
Yeah. So we even the first event was crazy because me and Michael had the idea of, okay, we're going to give everyone the agenda on like online. Like we're going to meet at this point, we're going to go here, we're going to go here at this time. And we get to the Spire, everyone's at the Spire, that's the meetup point. And we have like about 20 people in the middle of Dublin City. No central direction, nobody knows what's going on. They're waiting for someone to show up. And I put Michael to the side, like, bro, these guys are lost. Like, so we have to tell them, okay, yeah, me and him are doing this, and this is what we're doing today. And we commenced. And that was just how it started. And I guess after the event, we just saw the demand. Like a lot of people were following the page, asking us when's the next event.
It was lit. It was very good.
Yeah. So I think at that point it was just like, okay, it's in our hands now. We have to do this.
Yeah.
We can see the demand. We know people want this, and yeah, that's just where it kind of started really. And it keeps evolving because obviously initially we didn't plan for it to be what it is now. So it was just, as we're going, we're learning at the same time. Yeah.
And why do you feel that people are so connected to it? Why do you feel like people have such an affinity to Grupa? Because unfortunately, you guys cancelled the event that I planned on going to, or the rain cancelled it. Yeah, it's fine. Like I'm not salty at all. But what do you think that other people who engage with you are seeking Grupa for?
I think it's real community. Like I feel like community is like, obviously there's a lot of variations of community. There's all sorts of communities. But if you think about what community actually means, it's like common unity. It's just, if you think about community, what are the characteristics in community? What would you say it is?
A common unity.
Like
a common ground, like people have like familiar interests and stuff like that.
Inclusive, welcomes everybody. And I think that's what we have that's like important, because at our very first event we had people coming that are beginners in their field trying to navigate the industry or navigate even what to do, and then we had professionals show up as well. So I think that's an amazing thing because we created that space where anyone can,
it's like a mentorship almost.
A mentorship, also like a mentorship. It's mixed up with a mentorship, scouting, learning, growing, collaborating. Like it's just a place where it's for creatives, and it's not for a particular level or color, race. It's just for all people that have the creative mind. Because I don't think creativity comes with age. Like anyone can be creative. And
it's not exploitatory either.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're calling these people in so you can scout the talent for yourself. It's almost like this is a platform, right? And even for people who don't know and people who haven't accessed Grupa before, like when you want to be part of it and you get a link into the Discord, it's basically you explain what you do here and reach out to other people. You can see what other people do. If this is your creative field, this is how you can connect with other people. Like, and I've seen people like kind of put in like, oh, buy my mixtape. No, joking. People drop in their songs. People explain like, look, I'm a photographer. I'm only just starting out. When people give me like advice on that, it's not coming from you or whoever. It's not you guys lording.
It's a community.
Exactly. It's not you guys lording over how it's going to be used. It's kind of like, this is a space where we're giving you a platform for you to do what you need. Like, take it as you will, right? Like for me, I had to delete it. It wasn't for me. But there's other people. Like, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's kind of like, I think that's important.
It's funny because I don't even use the Discord. I can't navigate it.
Exactly. Like I was on 90s Babies Discord. I was like, I don't even know how, which, where. There's a bunch of rooms and stuff. But the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like when people see something that's popping, they feel like they need to be part of it, right? But if you're going into something like Grupa and you're coming out of it, you're going into it trying to exploit people are trying to do, it's not going to work. Because there's a genuine care for the people that are in there, and people care about the other works that are in there, as opposed to some things that I've seen where people are kind of like, I'm going to put you on this platform for you to do this, but remember me, right? Like, remember I'm the one who's putting you here.
It's first, like, self-benefit.
Exactly. Like, whatever you want out of it, you can get out of it. And for me, I just got inspiration from it. And from looking at it, I was like, okay, when I got in there and I had to like introduce myself, I was like, how do I introduce myself? Who am I? What am I doing, right? And it gave me an opportunity to take a step back and figure out those questions for myself, not to gain a bunch of followers or whatever. I was like, look, if you guys want to work with this, like, here's the link. But at the end of the day, it was kind of helping me cultivate that thought process in the sense of, how do I market myself? How do I work with this? And like I said, it's whatever you need from that, right? And other people, I think for models and photographers and artists, it's a bit easier than what I'm doing. I think my thing is a bit weird anyway, or niche. But yeah, like, and I've seen a lot of people perform at it and do, like, I've seen dances, arts, all of that. Like,
I think the idea of community is kind of blurred for some people. I think a lot of people forget what community actually means. And
can I stop you there? Have they forgotten how it is, or has it been perverted for them? Because some people never really had that true understanding of community. So they go into spaces trying to do what's been done to them. Do you know what I mean?
That could also be a case. But I guess we're here now.
Exactly. And you're here to change the narrative.
I guess we're here to change it. But yeah, I think people need to remember what it is, what the core meaning of community actually is. And I think that's what's going to better help grow the scene, or like this creative community that we have. Because it's okay to do individual things, but when you think about it, like, the smarter way to go about it is working together. Like, all these things can exist. I have my own endeavors. Like, I have free space to do whatever, and I'm doing that. Like, have my own community and that. But
gonna go there soon.
But like, I think we should all like really be coming together and striving for that better community, and that's what Grupa is trying to do. Especially
in an industry that needs other people. It's not it's not an industry where you can do it by yourself.
Especially in an industry that is Ireland. That is...
Why? Why is that?
Because we're not, there's nothing. Like, there's nothing, we're not anywhere yet.
Cool. I like that. Another thing I like about Grupa is that it's not branded as Black owned. It is Black owned, which is great. But was that an intentional thing on your part? Because I didn't really know that it was Black owned until the Black and Irish Awards.
Yeah. To be honest, it was someone from the team that made it aware to me that we should get people to look into nominating us. But we didn't end up doing it. So people actually nominated us regardless. Because there was a message that we were meant to send into the WhatsApp or whatever. But I felt weird doing that because I was like, I don't want to do that.
Do you feel a way about branding things Black owned? Because you have IBO as well.
Yeah. IBO was... The way I see myself, the position I have in IBO is more because Percy kind of initiated that whole...
This pod is about Percy, man.
Yeah. Come to the pod, bro. What are you doing?
He was let me not talk on your name. No, I'm joking.
But yeah.
IBO,
IBO, so yeah. The way because obviously Percy's my friend and he brought the idea. So the way I could help was in the visual aspect. So like graphic designs and creating posts and all that stuff. So that's what I was focusing on to help support it. But the question you asked.
Essentially, I'll rephrase it. Is there a downside of branding something Black owned? Is it limiting?
No.
Why do you feel like that?
That is not limited. I think everything can live. Like I don't. Do you think like branding?
Don't ask me questions.
I'll do whatever I want. This is a free space that you said. I'm normally the person that actually asks questions. I don't normally talk, but do you not think things can just live?
I don't have an opinion. That's why I was asking.
But yeah, I do think like, you know, regardless of like the race, the gender, like people can live. Any organization can live in its own capacity. You know?
The reason I'm saying that is more when we talk about diversity. I think Grupa is doing diversity very well in the sense I've seen denominations and demographics just mix in there, which is great. But when I say that sometimes there's a downside to branding something Black owned, it's not the label that's the problem, it's the organizational. Like, it's not a good way of, it's the system, right? And it's the system of how they operate, right? And essentially, like, people make stuff Black owned and then everything is about being Black. And it's only being Black that's allowed. It's Black owned only, right? And I think it's great. Obviously, I'm a Black person. If I was doing something, I feel pride in what I'm doing as a person that's Black as well. But I find like sometimes we have businesses that are Black owned that don't really spread outside of the Black community, right? And it goes back to people's values. And I'm personally, back to when we were talking about opinions, I'm definitely of the opinion that we should champion ourselves, but not limit ourselves to ourselves, right? Yeah. And I love diversity. I love being part of different groups and stuff, right? And I understand the feelings and the emotions that a lot of people in our community have gone through and the trauma that we've gone through. But at the same time, I don't believe that there is we live in a world.
Yeah.
There's no, like what you said, everything can exist, right? And everything can exist in a positive manner from their side and from our side, whoever they are, right? In the sense of when we're branding things Black owned. Obviously, if it's like wigs and things that are for Black people, obviously it's just going to be for Black people. But I find sometimes that it's quite a limiting label. It's not always that I'm a Black person who owns a service. It's kind of, I'm a Black person who owns a service and this is nobody else is allowed here. And I think sometimes that can be limiting depending on how it's done.
Yeah, I agree. I always say there's no formula to anything. And I say that because, I don't know why I say that. No, I say that because, like I said, anything can really live. And silence. Yeah. I lost train of thought.
Anything can live. And I think that, that's important. And the reason I say that, right, is just, and it's kind of in and around what you were saying, is that anything can live and you can be what you are. But I'm definitely for community and I'm definitely for collectiveness. And I think a word that has been thrown out in this season has been scene oriented, right? And I feel like depending on where you stand and what you're for, scene, community, industries, sometimes these can be synonyms of each other. And I think I'm really into the collectiveness, right? And talking about Black and Irish awards, and there's been different discourse about it and people have felt different ways about it. But I do feel like for me, I've seen more positive than negative from their existence or from the existence of the awards. And I think for me, I just felt like I really care about what you guys are doing and I really mess with it. Like I'm not always involved or whatever. I might just like a post or share a post or whatever. But I think it's amazing that people are there to do something that's it's not self-serving. And I think that's extremely important.
Thank you. I'd like to shout out the team as well, because this is definitely not something I'm doing 100%. By myself. So yeah, Gavin, all the guys.
Gavin. Dami.
Michael. No longer with us, but big figure.
No longer with us as in Grupa, he's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive. Eva, all the rest, shout out to you guys.
Love that. Yeah, and I don't want to make this about you in any case. I think it's because you just surprised me and you changed the way this was going to go. Yeah. Have you had any favorite events that Grupa has run?
Favorite? I wasn't even a part of this event. I couldn't make it. The one we had at Phoenix Park, the first one, was the first live event we had. And we had about over 100 people in attendance, so that was cool. And we had I think it was 4 acts or 4 acts. perform. Salome was one of them, and I'm actually forgetting the rest now. But
I think Onai was one of them.
Onai, oh yeah, a dancer.
I remember a dancer.
Yeah, I think that was my favorite event. I wasn't present, but from what I saw, it was really a memorable one.
What's the future looking like for Grupa?
So we're in the process of getting registered as a social enterprise. The big goal for Grupa is to be this, like, we want to have facilities across Ireland, because it's not only for people in Dublin, it's for artists across the island. So we want to have facilities that cater to these individuals, like studio space, kind of like what Vision Lab's doing here, but across Ireland on a bigger scale, of course. Yeah.
Free space, do whatever.
Lol.
What is that? See, you are just a very eccentric person. So anytime I see that there's something that you're doing, I'm like, I hope it's just gonna do this, and then it's just gonna rinse the one thing, and you're just gonna make it all about that. But you definitely do have a creative mind.
Thank you.
What is free space, do whatever?
I knew you were gonna ask this as well.
You were in blue, so.
Yeah. I did this deliberately.
I know. Nothing is by chance with you.
So free space kind of happened in a weird way because I was just going through a lot at the time, and there's two things. I was going through life, and I was also going through like this imaginative rut of like creativity and trying to figure out what was next for me. So on the creative side of things, I was just contemplating a lot. Like I was just procrastinating a lot of like what was the next project for me, what was the next big thing for me. And I'm like someone that always wants to do things on like different levels. And I just found myself stuck in that space for like too long that I just got fed up. On the life side of things, I was just going through life issues. And what I did for myself one day, I just came back from work and I was like, I'm fed up. I don't want this anymore. I want this chapter to end. And the way I wanted that to end, the way I went about making it and a close was, I came home, I moved my bed to the side, so I had this space in my room, and I was just blasting music. I had like the studio speakers, and I was just blasting music and recording myself, and just allowed myself to be free in a sense where I was just speaking to myself. I was shouting, I was crying, I was doing all these things, and that was just me like offloading whatever it was that was in my head. And then my girlfriend at the time actually gifted me these LED lights, and I just decided to turn it blue. Blue is my favorite color. I was, like I said, I was recording this whole moment that was happening, and at the end of it all, I created a video out of it, and that video was to represent, you know, that chapter being closed and me moving on, and allowing myself to enjoy the process. So the whole concept of free space to whatever is literally my process. Like if you go scroll on the page, it's just literally me doing some random shit. And the way I think about it is just like everything I do is a project, everything I do is something big. And the color blue is more to represent, it's almost like a souvenir to represent that period in time. So that's how it started. What it is now, it kind of evolved to me wanting to create spaces, because at the time I was posting a lot of content on the page and people were asking, oh, where's the space? Where's the space? And obviously that sparked an idea in my head to like, okay, create a space. So that's where it is now. I'm trying to work into like art installations. I'm trying to work into bigger projects. And that's something that I'll start doing more of next year. I think this year I was pretty much just trying to get myself prepared for that. So yeah, I hope that answers it, because I never know how to answer it.
That's a beautifully answered question.
Thank you.
I didn't think it would be that deep. You're an amazing guy.
Appreciate it.
Before I go into how amazing you are, as a man, do you find so essentially what you expressed there was emotional constipation. Do you find that that's a you thing, or did you find that it's a pressure that the world kind of put on you? Because I think having this space to express things is an extremely important thing. It's extremely important and it's amazing. And when you said that you were like talking to yourself, crying was the biggest thing that you mentioned there, and it wasn't, you didn't glorify crying. You didn't make it a big thing that, oh, I cried, whatever. And I don't want to talk about you crying. It's not the point. The point is that you were able to identify that all of these emotions were inside of you and they needed to leave, right? And I feel like in our society, sometimes men don't have the opportunity to do that or aren't given the opportunity to do that. You can argue whether they should be given the opportunity or they should take responsibility. But two, sometimes people just don't know how to do that. Is that something that you've ever struggled with in your life, or did you just know that? Was it just an automatic thing that expression had to happen in that moment?
I think I've always been expressive. I think in different ways. Obviously, expression in your art, in the work you do, the music. I think I learned, I guess, I always make reference to Canada because it was a very pivotal moment in my life, and I think that period in time, connecting with the people around me, just made me realize there's more to it. Life, there's more to myself. So yeah, I think in that, I just realized like I can't hold back certain things. I have to just be myself fully. And if that meant me crying, if that meant me, isolating myself, whatever way I needed to do whatever I needed to do was just how I did it. Yeah, I don't know if I'm answering.
Yeah, I'm not gonna even chat to you about that, but that was amazing. Well done. What's now for you? I don't want to talk about what's next. Like, what's now? What are you doing right now, apart from everything that you've spoken about?
I'm currently working on being a better public speaker.
You're doing a great job.
So I'm currently on Nesser Pod, and I actually, I was telling a lot of friends I was coming on this, and obviously they know me. That hope that I'm like that still, but like on an individual, one-to-one type of thing. But when I talk to them about like, oh, me coming on the pod, like, yo, like I can't do this. I can't do it. Got to a point where I was like, I don't want to come on this anywhere. But I'm currently, where I'm at now is currently facing that fear. I'm currently working on being a better me in this field, yeah.
Where did that come from?
I think I'm very like self-aware, and I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. And I think, I always want to progress in things.
No, but where did that fear come from?
Oh, the fear, okay.
Because I don't feel like, was that there when I knew you? I feel like you could grab a mic and talk to anyone.
I think that person is still there. I don't know. Maybe it was my friends, helping me in that area. Maybe it was like, I don't know. But I think me as an individual, I think there was a lot of growing I needed to do without, the force around me. Yeah. So I think that's where I'm at. I know it's in me. It's just something I have to get comfortable with on my ones.
That's what. Yeah. I love that for you. I love that for you. But at the same time, I feel like it goes back to, there's a lot of full circles being made. Yeah. It goes back to even what we were speaking about when you asked me that Nesser and on Nesser Pod versus Nesser's hates me Nesser or whatever and crackhead. And I think you don't have to be anything you don't want to be. Like like you shouldn't fear anything, but you should be okay. Like if let's say you didn't want to speak to me, but it came out of a desire not to speak to me or preference not to speak to me, as opposed to a fear. I think that's okay. Yeah. And I think that's why I allow myself to be myself in the sense where people have a lot of expectations from me. Yeah. And I had a completely different expectation for you. And I think the when I knew there was a change was when I met you at Salome's thing last year. Like you were just a different person. I didn't know what, and we haven't spoken since then actually. But if this is any comfort to you, once you get over that fear, you can choose not to be this person. If you don't want to speak in front of people, if you don't want to do whatever, if that's who you want to be, and you are okay being that person, being in the background, that's more than okay. Like and if at any point in time you want to step out of that and whatever Nesser pods are in your future, you can choose to take them on or not. But I'm really appreciative that you took this time to speak to me. I think this is probably this is probably the one conversation that's touched me the most because I'm remembering how everything was before. And not that everything was bad, but I was also a different person at that stage. And I think I'm definitely a massive advocate for growth. And I think for me as well, everything you're saying, being by yourself, being in America, finding out who you are is extremely important in anything, right? And even me I've always been outgoing, but did I ever do structured conversations? I just said whatever I wanted to say. I just did whatever I wanted to do. Like if I was happy, I'm being happy. Like if I'm sad, I'm being sad. Whatever emotion I felt it extremely there. And there is a strength in being disciplined and having precautions, right? Whereas I feel like the world we live in promotes you can do whatever you want and you should do whatever you want. But there's a strength in knowing that you can do whatever you want and choosing not to. And that goes back to you. It's like, feel whatever you want to feel, like be the best person you want to be and be great in every area that you can be great in. And then choose what you actually want to do.
Exactly.
Right? Like you don't have to be everybody all at once.
Exactly,
and that's something that I'm learning. And thank you for teaching me that today. Anything else from you? Did we miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that was it.
It.
This is a great. You're my favorite guest.
Really?
Sorry to everybody else who came.
Where's your
guys, it's been a great conversation. I hope you really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this whole season. It's been Hope from Grupa. And if you like this, make sure to share. Make sure to subscribe to Culture Shop, and please don't forget to comment. If you have any responses to anything we said, we'd be more than happy to hear from you.
comment.
For now, it's been me, Nesser.
Until season 4, 3.
Next season.
Yeah.
Bye.
Fact check.